down the wine path again for the second time, and probably a third time later on. But today, we got a special guest with us. We got Mr. James Evans.
Hello.
Hi, man. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. It's been a minute. All this COVID shit.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But so we got we went a little bougie apparently. We got some Franzia crisp white. comes in a cardboard box. How much was this?
About like $10.
So
I think?
$10,
maybe something like that.
$10 for 34 glasses. This right here, this is the Busch Light. This is the Busch Light of wines.
Yes.
I like it. I'm not like a super big fan of white wine, but whatever.
Right. But I actually prefer white wine to red.
Why's that?
It's a bit sweeter. Red wine's a little too bitter for me.
Yeah, it gives you that like cotton mouth kind of.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of uncomfortable. It's kind of maybe that's a pleb opinion to have.
I don't know. Who cares? It's like I mean, you could be a snob about anything, whether it be music or wine or alcohol or really any other alcohol than other than wine.
Yeah.
And anytime somebody's that person, they're just a dick, and nobody likes them.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, man, but like this is pretty good. Like, I mean, for as cheap as it is, I don't really drink a whole lot of wine because like all the sugar will give me a headache.
Oh yeah.
But with 2 glasses of wine, you can get really where you want to be.
Right.
So
right.
problem is like I probably got to take it down a little easy today because old Whiskey Dan's been having poopy squirts. So it's been a rough day today.
My apologies.
I don't know what the hell that shit's about. No pun intended. Anyway, right. So you're a professional musician.
Yes. Yes.
How bad are you ready to get back out there, just play some gigs?
I am very bad ready to get
very
back.
bad ready.
Yeah.
How like ready are you to get back out?
Extremely. Yeah, it's been terrible. It's been
Guess I'll sit at home again.
Yeah, I guess I mean my heart goes out to all the other freelance musicians out there who make their income off of playing gigs and stuff. It's rough,
Yeah, man. Which sucks because the good thing is my group, Lenny and the D, have been able to take this time to work on just jamming out rather than like practicing songs. We've just been like practicing being musicians.
Yeah.
So we've been able to successfully do that. Like, have you been able to? Because you play in a couple different groups,
right?
Yes. And you've been able to like, have y'all just been like just jamming out, like working on tracks or
a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I had a couple rehearsals with one band I'm in last week. We had 2 rehearsals, like a kind of a quirky jazz pop.
Right.
I'm sure you're aware of them. But yeah, that went well. We had 2 rehearsals. It had been a while. Loved it. It was great. I felt like I remember being in the midst of rehearsal and feeling like,
everything is
yes.
almost normal.
I know.
Everything
it was like, this is where I belong. Like, it was lovely.
I know. I had a really good time jamming the other day with because we're just a trio, so it's just me, our drummer, and then our lead guitar. The lead guitarist plays keyboard, he kind of like switches out.
Oh yeah,
when he wants to
cool.
play, and that's your main instrument.
Yes. Guitar. Yes.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No. Mr. Evans here is a keyboard player because he likes his instrument to always be in tune, and if you're bad, you can just spend more money to get better.
Funnily enough, I originally chose piano because I didn't want to have to carry around an instrument.
Oh, really? Because it's like, they'll always have a piano.
If you're a classical pianist,
yeah, it's like anywhere I go for like a recital, like, you can just play the house piano. Like, okay, great. I don't have to spend $10,000 getting a freaking piano.
Right. But then I became like a gigging keyboardist, and then I found myself being the second one next to the drummer with the most stuff to carry.
Yeah, it's like, okay, guys, okay, the keyboard only weighs like 30 pounds plus the stand. We got to get the amp, and then my cables, and then I got to get the little foot pedal. It's like, Jesus
the
Christ.
little bench,
yeah. Dude, that's what I love about like playing bass. You just fucking plug in and go, baby. It's like, granted, like I do have my own bass amp, but so many like venues or other bands have better equipment than like I do, and it's like I don't have to lug it around. I can just plug it in. It's good to go.
Yeah, I'm often jealous of like string and horn players because they can just
waltz up in there,
like grab and go. Yeah, see now, if you're an organist, and you're like a gigging musician. No, I imagine that would be a hassle. Like bringing those like little electrical organs.
And those things are not light. Those are incredibly heavy.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's like
I can't imagine.
it's like toting a gun safe with you all the time. That makes sound with its pipes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh shit. But,
yeah.
man,
totally.
Right now, as of right now, June 2nd, 2020, we are currently our bars and stuff are under 25% occupancy, I believe, still.
By the way, my headphones are kind of coming in and out. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the
gotcha,
splitter.
Gotcha.
It's not the recording.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
it just fucking does that.
Okay.
But
anyway, sorry.
But yeah, so right now we're under 25% occupancy, so I don't think we're gonna have any live music for a little bit longer, maybe the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've talked to a couple restaurant owners, and they seem they want music and like they're super eager, but like their thing is like they just like they don't want to like. Well, number one, they're worried about. With the capacity limit, is that can be enough to warrant paying a band to play?
And then also, it's like you're taking essentially away a table, like the 4 of y'all or 5 of y'all being there is a table.
Yeah, and like right, and also like I think there's kind of a sense of fear where it's like, okay, if we have a show, what if more people come and then like someone calls the health inspector and then like it all comes.
Or the fire marshal has to come down, or that's a legitimate fear that a lot of people can have. And
Totally.
as a business owner, like, you've already lost enough money, you don't need to lose any more.
Right. So it's like people are just scared and like don't know what to do exactly. So it sucks.
Yeah. I just think that's great. So, oh man, I just miss playing music a lot.
Me too. I know. I miss like musical theater.
What's the farthest drive you've ever done for a gig? Like a paying gig?
Like driven myself or ridden?
Or just like gone like as a band?
Okay. Probably. Let me think. I mean, are we counting like high school band?
No, like I mean,
right.
like for like money, like you're playing at a bar.
Yeah. Okay. Probably about like 3 hours, maybe. I think.
Was it worth it?
I think it was fine. I guess. I don't know. Maybe that might be overshot. It might be more like
I would hate to like have a show in Denton, and then not a whole lot of people show up, and like you get home at like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
like,
no,
that would suck.
Yeah.
I would rather just like let's just.
You got like all the little business cards, no one took them, and like the little it's like unbought merchandise.
Yeah,
then
you have like all like a U-Haul trailer full of like stickers and T-shirts and shit.
Yeah.
And like no one bought it. It's like I guess we fucking suck. Never mind. Shit. There goes my hopes and dreams of this shit.
Right. Totally.
But
totally.
I guess if you're gonna gig farther out, you would have to have like you'd either have to open for somebody and have like a guaranteed amount of money to play for, like $500 or whatever, and like for the whole band, and then it would be, or you're like, look, I can bring at least 10 people that are dedicated to coming just to see us play, and then plus whoever else is gonna play up there and whatnot.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, man, I'm just like ready to get back out there. But right now, things are, aside from COVID, a little weird.
Enter tragedy number 2.
Yeah, enter tragedy. Yeah, number fucking 2. Jesus, man, like, oh.
Isn't it funny how people are just like, the Roaring 20s is gonna be great?
Yeah, it's like
the 20s 2.0.
Man, we jumped right into the Great Depression. Like, skip that whole shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, like, I'm gonna address this right now, and then I'm gonna leave it where it is. And if you want to add into it, it's more than welcome to.
Absolutely.
In terms of protesting,
yes.
Everybody is well within their constitutional right to do so, and what happened in Minneapolis was a tragedy. Not saying that it wasn't.
Of course.
However, destruction of property, like, while I do understand, like, the rage involved, the problem is that most of the people that wind up destroying stuff are doing it for political gain. And it's people standing up against a overall broken system, which does need to have some reform. But I feel that we need less social media activism, and then starting to come up with solutions. Rather than just like, let's be aware of this. Like, all right, now what do we go with it?
Yeah.
And some police departments they're super cool. Some police departments fucking suck. You know. So
yeah.
There's bad on both sides, although I would overall argue that there has been more bad on the police department. If you look back at the last 30, 40-ish years.
Yeah.
So, like, you have entire generations of, like, systemic racial oppression. That's where the violence and the rioting comes from.
Right.
that being said, violent, like, and this is just my personal belief. You can cancel me if you want to. Twitter. Not that anybody. I think I got 20 followers. Thank you to my loyal followers.
A swarm of blue check marks comes flying in.
Oh God! Cancel him! Ban him! All I'm saying is that the more violence is caused, the longer it's going to take to heal and come to a common ground. Because while I would argue 90% of America is on like the same fucking page of just like no, like Black Lives Matter. You know, like, at least now. Like, in 2020, like, 2015, very different story.
Yeah.
2020, it's like, no, Black lives do matter. There are people that are having systemic oppression, and that's not okay.
It's not, like, near as much of a politically polarized issue anymore. Yeah. It's more like...
Well, see, and that's what sucks, is that there are people...
Well, hopefully that's not too obtuse or something. But I feel like, at least in the very least, especially in the light of this tragedy, like, definitely I'm seeing a lot more people just, like, you know, like on, like... political sides that you would originally think wouldn't support Black Lives Matter, now just like, oh no, totally, like systemic oppression is real and all this sort of thing.
It's like it sucks that an innocent man had to die for a lot of people to see that. But you know, now I personally see where a lot of that's coming from.
Yeah.
You know, because man, it's fucking tragic what happened there. But destroying buildings doesn't solve any problem. But this is the thing, though, is that there's so much evidence that's coming out to where like. The people that are, this is the funny part, the people that are destroying the buildings and stuff like that are white people. Like, if you watch, like, a lot of the videos, and you can see where it's, like, Anti-Fascist Action Group, which is that terror group. They're a fucking terror group. You can fight me on that. And then it's either that or it's, like, white supremacists that are, like, trying to, like, set it up to where it's like, oh, look, black people are looting and rioting. It's like, look at this shit. It's like, no, like, you have created that to make it even worse.
Right.
And... this is not a political thing, and it's not a race thing. We have people who should be public servants being public bullies.
Yeah, totally. I think there's kind of two things to address with what you said there.
Okay.
Yeah. So like in terms of like the looting and stuff, and like I agree. Like I think mainly it's more like you said, like probably like Antifa people and like what sorts, and probably maybe even some like I don't know, like cops or something, like
who would like just try to be like
like
oh man,
that might be a little more conspiratorial. Not that I think that, but who knows? You know, it's a crazy wacky world. But like I think this is one of those instances where it's like it's just like we really need like a nuanced opinion, you know, or like there's a like a need for nuance, because it's like you have people on like sort of I've seen people on Facebook sort of say stuff where it's like if you don't support the looting, you're racist.
Yeah, and it's like, well, and then
it's just like
last statement for those out there who are wanting more support, and are taking in the support from the overall, and then you turn around and then tell them you're not supporting us correctly and you're not doing this, that, and the other right. You don't get to choose who your allies are.
Exactly.
Just like everybody should be grateful that most of us are on the same page now. And just because someone's not putting the correct hashtag or donating the correct amount of dollars or donating to the right group of people or something like that, like quit gatekeeping activism. Let people do what they feel is right in their heart, and then let it be from there on. As long as we're all pulling in the same direction on that, gonna be okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's something I've seen a lot of that, like sort of a like a lot of stuff where it's like, and not that I'm denying this is true, but it's sort of posts where it's like, all right, like I'm glad like people are like saying we're activists, but like just remember, like you're late to the party.
Yeah.
And like all this sort of just like
for sure.
It's just like, well, it's quite not that they're wrong per se, but it's so alienating and smug.
Yeah.
And it's just like, not that, and I understand the natural response to that is like, well, they don't have the choice to like not experience this oppression, so of course it's fine if they're smug, and I understand that. I don't know, it's just like, and I get that, but at the same time it's just like, like I don't know, there's something very like, it like just rubs me the wrong way anyway. There's something there that's kind of it's like
alienating. Don't turn away people who are going to support you,
right?
Because like you're not quote unquote doing it right. And then also I think a lot of those people, last statement on this, a lot of those people that are feeling like that like you have to do it this, that, and the other, it's like you're just trying to be the oppressor yourself. That's not equality. You just want to be in power, which makes you just as bad as your enemy.
Oh, it's kind of like, it's like an authority sort of complex type thing, or like, that's sort of, that stuff's really interesting, and like I saw one post that was like, listen, people, you can't just do this sort of weak activism online. I agree there's like more stuff you could do. It's like it's better to like donate
absolutely.
than just be like hashtag BLM or something.
Yeah.
It's like rather donate to a good cause. But like but yeah, so I saw someone saying like you need to like when you post on Instagram, like you need like a bibliography and like check your sources, and just like they're like wanting people to like write like a research paper. Like,
Yeah,
before,
it's like,
before
dude,
you like make a post.
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
like,
You're not writing a term paper for your masters. It's just saying like, hey man, you know, quit pepper spraying innocent people, you dickhead. Like that's all that we're trying to say.
Exactly.
That's enough of the heavy stuff. I just felt that needed to be addressed.
No,
this is the Whisky Dan radio show. So we talked about you mentioned in that fucking damn it, what'd you say, conspiratorial things, dude. Okay, with the whole like COVID shit that happened, and like people are like, oh, 5G is the Tower of Sauron, it's giving us COVID and cancer, and then like that, and then it's like, see, they're just trying to oppress us, and then like that just shifting into like, oh, look at all these rioters and looting. It's like, oh, there's lizard people running the government and they're gonna overthrow us. This is China's fault. Like that level of just like insanity.
It's
So-
like, meanwhile, there's like a guy in like a Vietnamese rice farmer hat with like the squinty eyes and like a lab. He's like, oh, like rubbing his hands together menacingly, like like in the background.
Well, like what gets I am a big subscriber to the idea of Occam's razor, which is, if you're not familiar with
Remind me what I know what it is, but I haven't. It's been refresh me.
it's like the simplest solution. The simplest solution is the most likely cause.
Right.
You know, it's like while conspiracy theories can be super fun and easy, like fun to entertain those ideas. Let's be honest, you know, and because the thing is, like, I don't have any way to back this, you know, or back anything against it. Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK, and then Mr. Ruby just shot him in the gut because I don't know why, but he just fucking did. I don't know the motive behind it, but that's what happened. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy was just a really good shot with a Mosin gun.
Yeah.
Did he use a Mosin gun? I don't know. Whatever.
I'm not sure, but like. Go on though.
No, but like it's just but I've always felt very Occam's razor to a lot of things. You know, like there's a very clear and obvious cause, and I'm just using the JFK thing as like, you know, whatever, like as a pinnacle example of like a conspiracy theory. But overall, though, I do believe that they, in terms of like conspiracy theories, like especially like the ones like today, like the whole like Bill Gates stuff like that.
How'd that even start?
I don't even know, because he just said something about like microchipping people or something, like, which
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
not
I just
do that.
all
ever.
of a sudden, just like Bill Gates is at fault now. I just never even like. When did he come into the picture? Like
he said something. I don't even see. This is why. Okay, if you're listening, you should probably find a better podcast. but because I don't have my shit together. But the thing is that because Bill, like, he said something about like microchipping people for like health care or some shit. I don't fucking know.
oh, he did mention microchips.
Yeah, I think if I don't
Okay.
know what I'm fucking talking about, just disregard this. If somebody's more well versed on this, keep your own opinion. But
Bill Gates himself is free to chime in.
yeah, you do fucking call in whiskydanradio@gmail.com. Write me in. Hey, Billy, fucking, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, shit.
Bill and Melinda Gates.
Bill and Melinda Gates. Let's. There's some meat here I want to get into.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and we kind of talked on a little bit, but like the online overall activism.
Yeah.
If you need to get a refill real quick, I can just.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, we got to drink out of the box, and he's got to top himself off here. Oh Lord!
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hey Cam, would you mind grabbing some paper towels for me, man?
No problem. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. It's damned box wine.
It's not the spigot.
Right out the spigot. Thanks, Cam.
Thank you, Cam.
Cam's here as
Cam's
our stagehand. We really appreciate him.
Our podcast attendant.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Cam.
So we talk about online activism, and then like I just think it's great how there's so many like celebrities, so to speak, like Kylie Jenner. Like, why is she even fucking famous? But the thing is that like she's like this incredibly like out of touch, like privileged valley girl, or, you know, like from whatever that northern part of LA is. Who gives a shit?
Beverly Hills?
Yeah, that
Oh, okay.
part. You know, but like, and then she's like talking like essentially virtue signaling. Like, look, I'm on this part of it. It's like, you have an unimaginable amount of wealth that I can't even fathom. And like, who are you to tell me how I ought to feel?
As a quick side note, that reminds me, like, not that I'm against this cause I'm about to mention, but it's just funny. Like, there's a YouTube ad I saw with That's kind of like this. It's a YouTube ad I saw with Patrick Stewart, and he's like the guy from Star Trek, like Captain Picard. He's like, hello. He's just like, my name's Patrick Stewart, and I'm here asking you to donate. He has this like little coy, sweet smile. He's like, the Refugee Foundation, like, has these pictures of kids, and it's like, why don't you donate to them? You have more money than all of us.
Yeah, like you have more money than the first 400 donors.
Exactly.
Dude.
Like, no, I can't use it. I'm doing something else with it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like celebrity activism is the worst, because like I don't really know if you're actually donating to the causes that you're bringing up. She's an up and coming comedian. Her name is Taylor Tomlinson, and she like showed like her like PayPal receipts of like donating, and it was a considerable amount of money. And she had said on there like, look, if you can't, like, I'm only doing this because I have the ability and the privilege to be able to do this. Right. I'm not saying this is what you need to do, and I'm not saying I'm doing this because I'm better than you. I'm proving to people who are of my status that that this is like, if like don't just talk out your ass and not do it.
That's some what's the word, like Yas Queen type stuff right there. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. God, please shoot me. And then since it's June, Total Pride Month, I'm not gay, but every company all of a sudden is.
Yeah.
How come MasterCard has a rainbow logo? Like, oh boy, we know you like being gay. You want to use our bank cards?
Oh God, we're canceled now.
Oh yeah, we're totally canceled. Oh Jesus Christ! But you know what I mean? It's like how come every single company is like, oh, we see that you're homosexual, buy a fucking Toyota?
Yeah,
it's just Jesus Christ, man. It's like how come? It's like I love how like now it's like societally acceptable to be homosexual since 2016 or whatever.
Yeah,
because like it got quote unquote illegalized or something. And
I always wondered about that. Like beforehand, was it like
some states had it legal? Some states had it legal, and some states had it illegal for homosexual marriages. And then like,
does that just mean like they won't recognize it? Not as in like literally you'll go to jail or something.
No, like you just like legally cannot get married as a homosexual.
They wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah,
okay.
Like but like if you wanted to cohabitate and then like have a marriage ceremony and all that stuff, that's what you want to do.
I see.
Yeah, you could have done that. But in the federal court in 2016, like they overturned that, and ever since, and it happened on June 26, 2016, and so they overturned that. I only know that date's very specific because it's my dad's birthday, and he was like, "Son of a bitch."
It was 2016 when that happened.
I think it was 2016.
Oh man, I thought
it was like 2015. It was very recent.
I thought it was like 2011 or something.
No, really? I was out of high school.
Oh wow.
Happened. I want to say so. So we're looking at 2014 and on. That this had happened.
So Pride Month is a quite new thing then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy
Forgive
how
me
like
my ignorance. I didn't even know that.
But you could have always had gay pride even as a company.
Right.
But now it's like every big company gets on top of it because like it's A-okay to be a part. It's like, oh, like look at Coca-Cola with the rainbow logo. Like look at
Before that they were like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, like we can have like some of our employees, but that's like not our official stance on it. I'm just like, you gotta like fuck off.
Let's not get too carried away here.
Yeah, see, and I think that's where like a lot of activists in regards to our current situation are like don't be a corporate shill to where like you want to jump on the bandwagon after it's like A-okay to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But then again, companies are more interested in profits than really anything else.
Right.
But that's
Nostrovia, comrade.
Nostrovia. Speaking of comrade, let's talk.
Who's on to our next topic? Perhaps.
Let's talk about communism.
Yeah.
Because Mr. James Evans is here, and that's every time we get together, we got to talk about communism. So
I guess there's just a lot. Yeah. There's a lot
to
it.
So. You're on Reddit a lot. I'm on Reddit a lot.
Right.
I wish I wasn't.
Same.
Tell me why it's like there's so many like. Can we just put that wasn't real communism argument to rest already? Is that done by now?
I wish I could say yes.
Oh, okay, so for those who are not familiar, anytime there's like some person on Reddit who wants, or just some social activist who's like, oh, capitalism has failed you, we should try communism, and it's like, well, didn't communism happen in like isn't that like with North Korea and like China and like Russia used
Isn't that
to
like
be?
yeah, like don't they like not have human rights and stuff? Like,
and then there's always that one guy. Well, actually, that's not real communism. That was Stalinism or Maoism. Like that's not what Trotsky or Marx would have wanted.
right,
And
right.
it's like,
yeah.
but that's what happened. And we have enough communistic countries to like prove that it's not that real communism isn't gonna work.
I feel like I could give you maybe some interesting takes here. I don't know. Like,
go ahead.
Yeah, I just really enjoy like fringe political ideologies. Like I just really love like just of all kinds. I don't discriminate.
Like what was it, anarcho-primitivism?
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I want
yeah.
everybody to be a caveman.
Yeah, it's just totally. Or like I don't know, Possadism, which is encouraging nuclear war as an accelerationist effort to instigate communism, which it just I just love these wacky.
That is butt fucking insane.
Yeah, that little skit kind of had like yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify for the listeners, for those who aren't familiar, Jay Posadas was an Argentinian communist from the 1960s who, basically what he said is that this was during the Cold War, obviously, and so he was like, he encouraged nuclear war and thought it was an inevitability, and he like kind of encouraged it because he thought it would be a perfect accelerationist way to like, okay, to like abolish the status quo, and then afterwards we can like start communism. So I thought of this like great skit where it's like, what if like, okay, they get their way, like the apocalypse happens, nuclear bombs, nuclear waste, and all the whole shebang, everything's gone, and then there's like some cowboys or whatever people just standing in the wasteland, and they're just like, and there's like the Posadas kind of like in the background, and like the cowboys are just like, well, I mean, I guess we need like a system of government, don't we? Right. And they're like, yeah. I mean, they're like I don't know. I think I like the idea of like natural rights and like property and stuff. And
because it's like, how about I own this part of the river and you can have that part, and we could share.
And the Posadas is just like, no, you're not supposed to be. What you're supposed to do. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Let's go.
Man.
Yeah.
See, like, I think the overall problem that I have with like Zoomer communists.
Oh yeah.
Is like they're so caught up in like collectivism because they're so bad at their own personal responsibility. Like they can't take control of their own lives. It's like, well, if Bernie Sanders would be perfect, like get the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah, totally. I get
it's
that.
Like believing that one rich white guy is gonna owns 4 homes or 3, however many fucking houses he owns. He's gonna tell like he's gonna come in there and just gonna fix the White House.
No refunds.
No refunds. Actually, he did give refunds. I will give him that.
Really?
Yeah, he did actually give refunds back.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Because there were so many people who were like, Bernie, please, I gave you $4,000 and now I can't pay rent.
all right, kiddo.
Yeah.
So he was Australian for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyways, going back to online leftism, there's like, and what I was getting to with like fringe political ideologies is that like I kind of sometimes like I'll observe like the sort of like leftist infighting that exists. I don't know how familiar you are with some of this.
Oh yeah, dude. It's this is what's great. Like on the right, it's like, no, like I'm a social conservative and I'm like fiscally conservative. It's like, but those guys over there, those are neo-Nazis. Like fuck them. But like everybody else is kind of in the same. You go on the left, it's like he's not a real communist.
Yes, like,
he's not a real socialist.
Everyone thinks like literally their specific exact interpretation of communism is like the correct one. Like but the biggest like sort of point of contention is between what are called tankies and then what are called like like the anarchists, the anarcho-communists. So like tankies are like sort of authoritarian communists who think like people who say that places like China, North Korea, and Vietnam kind of suppress human rights, like that's all just CIA propaganda.
So like, it's like a tanky would be like a Soviet communist.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a Stalinistic Soviet communist.
Right, and whereas like an anarcho-communist, like we haven't seen many like actual regimes like that
because there can't be an anarcho regime.
Right, because it's like, and like this is a common point you see tankies level at anarchists, and it's like it's not wrong. It's because it's hard to like sustain something when there's no structure.
Yeah.
You can't really like. I think there was
like building a house on sand.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like a lot of Antifa types are kind of like anarcho-communists, but like there's a lot
They're
of
also
like,
terrorists.
Right.
Fuck 'em.
Exactly. I think I meant to mention that about the looting. Is like, it's like people who are like, and really hyper leftist like Antifa types. Like their whole thing is like they want to stick up for minorities and oppressed people, which is great. But like the thing is like when they like some of the businesses and like the people they hurt were like probably like lower income minorities.
Yeah,
Like,
especially like with
so
the
it's just,
neighborhoods and stuff. Like how
yeah,
like that apartment complex got burned down. Granted, it wasn't built yet, but it was going to be like low income housing, and then it got burned to the ground.
Right.
In Minneapolis, and it's like you just shot your own self in the foot. Like what the fuck?
Funnily enough, I saw an article on about like a couple weeks ago in Austin. My friend sent me an article where it's like some like people like went to like the Capitol where like Greg Abbott works, and they like spray painted like a hammer and sickle and like sort of wrote like, democracy isn't the answer, socialist revolution is.
Yeah.
And then
it's like, yeah, but a revolution stops eventually.
no, but then like the next day, like it was like the article was written about it, and it was like it showed a picture of like a person of color janitor cleaning it up.
Really?
Yes.
Jesus
the irony
Christ.
was just like so palpable. It was amazing.
Well, see,
like,
and like what's funny is like they did like a socioeconomic like breakdown of like who's like the far left is. It's like white kids from suburbia.
yeah, totally.
And it's like we stand up for other people. It's like no, you don't.
There's
You're so out of touch.
yeah, there's just like an astonishing lack of nuance with those people. Like I got into an argument with a guy on Reddit who was just like,
Don't ever do that, man. It's
I
not
know.
fucking worth it.
I know. He was just talking about the revolution. I was just like, dude, what I told him, I was just like, dude, do you really think if you go up to some like working class random black guy and you're like, come join the revolution, is he really just gonna be like, oh yeah, I've read Das Kapital by Karl Marx, I'll join you? He doesn't know anything about
he's like, dude, I want to go home and pay my bills.
yeah, like they assume everyone knows this like dense leftist theory. I'm just like, oh, yeah. I just it's pretty.
See, like, it goes like that's the funny part. Like, there is, I love how like there's some people on the left. It's like, oh, look how all like the uneducated people are right wing and like how stupid they are. And it's like,
Like that's the proletariat.
Yeah, it's like they're also just practical people.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to have a 5-year, 6-year education.
Like this is the majority proletariat that you would have to radicalize if you actually wanted a revolution.
Yeah,
But,
and like all you do is just demonize them. And then like have you ever seen like a radical leftist that is either that is not either incredibly overweight or incredibly underweight? Like like every like Antifa person I've seen has been like morbidly
sort
obese,
of like misshapen
or
with
just
like blue
like
hair or something.
Yeah, just like ridiculously skinny, or like they clearly need braces or something. Like there's always like something like physically wrong with them. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It's like, yeah. Anyways, I feel like I got us off the
No,
sort of points.
That's fine.
Here, but
I
like
love shitting on Antifa. Fuck them.
we were just talking about, I guess, communism in general.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well, like what's funny is that like people don't realize that like a lot of communist countries have had wars with each other. Like Vietnam and China had a series of conflicts.
Yeah.
Like after the United States pulled out of Vietnam, then like China was like, we're gonna invade Vietnam now. And they're like, yeah, no, you're fucking not. And then they just like they held them pretty much at the border up there. And then like in the 50s, when Mao Zedong had taken over China, and then Stalin was like on the way out, there was the Sino-Soviet split. I mean, they were no longer like, I mean, they were both still communist countries, but it was in the same like, oh, like there's two countries that are a monarchy.
Yeah.
You know, it was just an economic system. They're
Right.
not like united against like the first world or whatever it may be.
Right.
But yeah, I do find it interesting how the left is like as diverse as like Christian denominations, and how many of them believe like this is the only way.
It's really interesting you mentioned Christian denominations, because I think I don't know if we've talked about it specifically, but I think that's actually related to the whole like the purity cancel culture thing of the left.
Yeah.
Is like
It's a circular firing squad.
yeah, but like as to like why it exists though is like I feel like at least kind of like what I've heard some people say, which I think is probably close to the truth, is like, so right now like we're at like an all-time high in terms of like, and in the past couple of years, like an all-time high in terms of like lack of belief in like religion, lack of trust in the government, lack of trust in authority, anything like that. It's just like lots of loss of like structure and the things that gave us meaning previously. And so like I feel like with the loss of like religion's a big part of it, like is like like people who become like really leftist, and then like they ascribe to the set of beliefs, and then they like find someone who says something like slightly wrong and they alienate them. Like I feel like that's serving as a substitute for the sense of meaning and purpose that religion left.
Yeah.
Like the hole in them when, you know, or the, you know, like without like a, you know, culture or society, like religion.
We live in a society.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, does that kind of make sense?
Oh
like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, because I think that people want to latch themselves to something. Like people have like an inclination to latch themselves into something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, we need like a higher meaning.
Yeah, and whether that be religion or like political advancement.
Yeah.
And then since like most of the left is irreligious, and then so that's like why they wind up jumping to like these hardcore ideologies that are basically fringe. and they're also pretty cringe.
Yes.
Damn it, that was terrible. Y'all can turn it off after that. Anyway.
Yes.
James and I had a conversation a while back, and I was talking about how on the edge, like if you live on the edge of a political compass, like you probably have a mental disorder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you were like a hardcore, like whether it's like a Nazi or like a hardcore like super libertarian, where it's like, well, really, do we need an age of consent? Like,
Yeah.
You have a mental illness. Jesus. It's like, oh man, I saw this one thing.
Why shouldn't I be able to buy a 12-year-old? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Why can't we own people anymore? Like, what gets me is the level, like what you're talking about, like the level of like fracturing there is on like the general quote unquote left.
Yeah.
There's like the same amount of like fracturing in the libertarian circles.
oh, I've kind of noticed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because like there's so many libertarians that are like, do you think I know what anarcho-capitalism is? I just want a goddamn tax cut.
Oh, yeah. And then there's like those like super hardcore like anarcho-capitalist theorists, and they're like
Yeah.
very like
It's like roads should be paid for by private industry. It doesn't make any sense, dude. Like it's supposed to be a public thing. It's like, I'm not gonna get into that.
we can go it on libertarians if you want. I mean,
No. it's just too much. Because like the thing is like I'm like a center right person.
yeah.
Like there's some things I'm kind of more authoritative about, and there's a lot of things I'm pretty libertarian about.
Well, we should clarify, because like I think like the sort of two-dimensional political axis is a bit like it doesn't. There's some flaws because it doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't. If you're thinking like just top and bottom is like authoritarian versus libertarian, then like left and right is economically left
Yeah.
or right. But there's also a cultural axis, I think, that needs to be there.
Whether it be
Like-
like progressivists or whatever. But
Yeah.
but most people are familiar with that 2D plane.
Yeah.
So that's why I say center right in terms of where like I'm not really authoritative and I'm not really libertarian. There are bits of both that I like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
overall, like
I see what you mean. Yeah.
like fiscally, I'm pretty far right leaning mostly because I'm a huge fan of personal responsibility.
Yeah.
But in terms of like things that like authority were is a good thing. It's like everybody has to pay taxes, so we have good roads and schools. And then like libertarian, where it's like you should have the right to choose your own health care and you should be able to own firearms. I think you should be able to own fully automatic firearms. I don't think that there should be an age restriction on smoking.
I think stuff like that should be handled by the communities rather than
Sure.
like the government. You know, it's like in terms of like drinking or smoking, it's like
No.
it's like all you're doing by like making a law is just making needless tickets they're gonna have to be written.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like
And like weed should be legal. Like across the board. Most drugs, like drug users should be they shouldn't be treated as
Yeah.
criminals, but mental health patients, because if you're using heroin, your life is probably not all that put together.
right, and you're not like typically okay. It's like of course there's cases where you're being negligent to a child. That's different. But like if it's just you, if you're just by yourself doing some drug, it's like why should you be a criminal? You're a person with a problem, and that's how
Yeah.
you should be treated with kindness rather than like a criminal.
Yeah, it's like,
totally.
oh, look at this person trying to cope with PTSD.
Yeah, book him.
Yeah, book him, Dano.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fucked up Brogan system.
I know it's ludicrous.
It's like, I hope you like living in the big house there, buddy. It's like, no, I want to go home and do more heroin, you asshole.
I see you have problems. Would you like more?
Yeah. Well, if you thought Vietnam was bad. Anyway, Jesus Christ. Man, I'm telling you, it doesn't take much wine for me to really start feeling it, though.
Yeah. Stand.
This is pretty good wine. Like, for as cheap as it
Oh
is.
yeah, I guess we've been. Yeah. What do you think? Review time. What do you think of the wine?
Man, I actually, like, I dig it. I mean, I probably won't buy a whole lot of it, but because I'm definitely more of a beer and whiskey drinker. But
Hell yeah.
if it was if there was like one of those deals, it's like, hey, we need to have like a wine party, quote unquote.
That's the kicker. Yes.
Yeah, that's the total kicker. Somebody call him?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. It wasn't Keith, was it?
No,
Oh.
it wasn't. Yeah. That's why I checked.
Oh, okay. Actually, hang on. Okay, we're good. So that being so, yeah, man, it's especially for like I'm definitely a big bang for your buck type of person.
It's
and
perfect if you just want to like if you're having like a party and you just
Yeah.
want something for a lot of people. Man,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
it's like when you open up somebody's cooler and like and it's full of like Bud Light, you're not gonna bitch about it.
Exactly,
It's like
exactly.
or like Coors Light or. I mean, if they open a my cooler, just be full of old Milwaukee, then nobody will drink it, which is fine. It's fine. It's more beer for me. So, but yeah, this is just like your standard. Now you could always bust. I don't know, but it's fun to drink like shitty, quote unquote, shitty like alcohols because there's so many snobs about it.
Yes,
It's
yes,
like,
exactly.
well, you know what? I actually unironically like boxed wine.
That's something I
Suck
like
it.
doing too. It's like Yeah, like I was buying like a bottle of I think like vodka or something the other day. But like you know, people are just like, oh, Tito's or like Grey Goose or whatever, like all these names. But it's like I like going to the liquor store and just finding like the most obscure random one and just getting that.
I like buying like the cheapest thing I could find, and then like, wow, that hurts. That gives me a headache pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
I've bought in a couple whiskeys, or I've had a few whiskeys where it's like you get a headache before you even get a buzz, and I'm like, this isn't fun. This is gonna make me hurt.
I just like the idea of like an obscure like random like I got one called Skoll. It's just like like S with like the mark that makes it a sh sound and then KOL or something.
For those who don't know, Mr. Evans here is he's part Serb, so he gets to use those cool letters. We don't in America.
Yeah, my mother actually grew up under a communist country.
So she hates communism, right?
Oh, she despises it. Yes, absolutely.
Have you ever like facetiously had a conversation with her where it's like, okay, was Stalin really the bad? He did end the Holocaust.
What are you, some kind of anti-Semite?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I guess you hate Jews too, don't you?
Oh, that's great.
Oh man, no, like I saw somebody
that's
like
a great smuggy,
I saw somebody like unironically make that position. It's like started the Holocaust and communism ended it. I'm like, you know, he killed like 20 million of his own people, right?
Man, I just like, I mean, like, I guess everyone has the ability to speak in large brushstrokes, don't they?
I know. Why not? Honestly, like, speaking in an altruism is a great way to get your fucking teeth knocked out.
Well, it's so like,
and it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's just ant brain people.
I hate altruistic statements like that.
Yeah, I know, because it's very like it's like this is like the same thing with the looting. It's like if you don't support the looting or race, it's so reductionist and like unnuanced and like wrong in a lot of ways. It's just infuriating.
Yeah, it's
you
like,
know,
all cops are bastards. Well, all cops.
Okay, it's like you realize like a lot of cops are like men and women of color, like minorities who are just trying to support their families, and like it's like,
but like granted. There's a lot of shitty cops, but all cops.
And like I'm sure there are like even shitty cops of color, but like still, I mean, I'm just like using like what they say. Like if you are for like minorities and like it's like you really, and same thing with like, the military. People will be like, well, fuck everyone in the military, but it's like so many like poor like people in like communities only join it just so they can pay for college.
Yeah,
and you're
either
just
that
like,
or they're disenfranchised and don't know what to do with their lives. Like, well, here's somewhere I don't really have to think about anything for 4 years.
Right. It's like I don't have to think about the path I'm carving for myself. I can just like kind of go along. With,
and then if I'm really good at this and I actually like the structure, I can be in this for 20 years and I can really do something for myself.
Yeah, I guess the downside is it's like so dangerous.
I mean,
or it can be.
I mean, have you seen have you looked up statistics for forklift accidents? That's pretty horrific. Drivers, a lot of CDL drivers die.
Yeah.
Well, like man, like, well, I mean, like right now, being in the military wouldn't be too bad. Now, when we're
no one's going anywhere.
It's like when we're landing in fucking Canton, China, things might be a little different. If we ever land in Canton, China.
Yeah.
I hope not. We might. Who knows?
Who knows?
So, Karl Marx.
Oh, right.
If he lived in today's time, I think he would be a total, like, 4chan incel.
Agreed.
You know, like the guy was only able to, like, write all the books and get them published that he had, like, his manifestos and stuff like that.
Because he was propped up by his
Because he was propped up by Frederick Engels, who just, like, had a shitload of money. And then they were like, people shouldn't have money. And it's like, it's a bit of an ironic statement.
He's like, hey, Fred, can you give me some money so I can tell people why it shouldn't exist?
I just love he was German, and then the Germans like he was Bavarian, and then like he lived in London because he got like exiled from like Germany at the time. Lived in London, and then like he influenced Lenin. And then by influencing Lenin, he got exiled. Like Lenin got exiled from Russia, and then he went to Germany. And then the Germans like shipped him over to Russia to start the Russian Revolution. Germany's been exporting communism too fucking much. It's their problem.
I heard that Lenin originally intended his vision was that the real version of communism, like for him, the Soviet Union was apparently like a placeholder.
Yeah.
And like the real communist utopia would be in Germany, is what he thought.
And then and Trotsky wanted to to Trotsky, like, the revolution never died.
Yeah.
and like he wanted to have like a Russian revolution in every single country until there was one communist government for the whole world.
Yeah, it was like the idea of like a constant revolution or something.
Yeah, which is like, that's insane.
It's like I'm ready for this to end.
Yeah, and then Stalin comes in and he's like, no.
I didn't I hope I won't like recall the details wrong, but so with Trotskyism, it's kind of an interesting thing because now it's known as just like the whole kind of what Trotsky thought we should do or they should do at the time, but like apparently at the time Trotskyism was like an anti-Semitic slur. It's because like Stalin was trying to paint him as like a sort of like this Jew's trying to like, you know, corrupt our.
Yeah, it's like, look at him putting his nose into things.
And so it became a derogatory thing. It's like, oh, he's a Trotskyist, you know. And the funny thing is, Dan, I've seen people on Facebook say like it's like I'll follow these random like sort of like groups. I don't really get on Facebook, but I've made like sort of like a ghost one just to like follow these groups, like observe what's going on, you know, like just because like I just like to peek in every once in a while. But like these sort of like hyper leftist groups, like if someone's like, well, like I don't know, like isn't China like kind of still bad? Like I'm a leftist, but like didn't they do some bad stuff? Like they'll be like, oh, look at this Trotskyist, you know?
Yeah, just
it's like dude, this isn't like fucking 1948. It's like you are literally LARPing, like literally, like there's just no. Like there's no like you're referencing some old archaic Russian like political. It's like, oh yeah, he's a like this is 2020.
Nobody's a Trotskyist.
The Soviet Union's gone.
It's been gone for years.
I know. I love it.
Died with grunge music.
Yeah,
kind of. Well, grunge music lasted a little longer in terms of like time.
It died under the glorious hand of Stalin.
Yeah. No. What's funny about like Trotsky, you know, since he was a Jew and since like he wanted to take over the world and like create this constant revolution, and then like in the fact that, you know, since Hitler hated communism and Jews, like imagine if Stalin never came to power, like Trotsky was like, see, they're fucking doing it right there. Like I don't even have to write a book about it. It's happening like right on the other side of Poland.
That is hilarious. That'd be a great like historical like skit.
Well, see,
joke
but like the thing is like if that happened, if Stalin never came to power and like Trotsky took over the Soviet Union and then like they were using like the economic might of the Soviet military and, you know, agriculture to take that up. Because the only reason why the Soviet Union was such a shit show in 1941 when Germany invaded was because, you know, Stalin starved so much of Ukraine and then like killed all of his officers and then tried to invade Finland and it like didn't work and they lost so many resources trying to do that. And then that's when Germany invaded. It was like right after that all that happened.
Yeah.
So they hadn't like economically recovered from it. But if none of that had happened and Trotsky had taken power, and then he'd be just like Hitler. Like, would Hitler be as bad of a guy if there was like actually a communist Jew trying to avidly and vocally trying to take over the world? Like, would he be treated as bad of a guy? I'm not saying Hitler did anything good. Fuck him.
He would have more leverage.
He would have he'd just have a little bit more leverage.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not enough leverage to, you know, cause a genocide, because nobody ever has that leverage.
No one deserves that. But
Jesus Christ, like, I just think that it's like
that's a really.
It was like so close to like being a real thing that happened.
That's such an interesting thing. I never even thought about that. That'd be crazy. That would just be like, yeah, he would have so much less convincing to do.
Yeah.
Like,
and I was like, no, because they're like when is this gonna happen, Mr. Adolf? Like fucking right there, dude.
It's like, look to our east.
Yeah. It's right fucking there. Ah, shit. Last couple things I want to talk about. Since brought up genocide, here's something that not a lot of people know. Since the United States has kind of been more pro-Turkey because of like the whole Cold War, because we were like, we're going to put our nukes in Turkey and point them at Moscow, and then they're like, well, we're going to put our nukes in Cuba and point them at DC, you know.
Yeah.
And since we're so pro-Turkey, and since Turkey's part of NATO, we don't recognize the Armenian genocide that happened in 1915.
Oh.
And there was, I want to say 1.5 million Armenians that were killed by the Ottoman Empire. And the thing is like, while that country no longer exists, like its remnants kind of created Turkey, and Turkey still refuses to recognize that like actually happened. like, oh, those are battle casualties. It wasn't really 1.5 million people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just as dumb as the argument, like, oh, 6 million's an awful lot there, bud. Like, could the Nazis really do that? It's just as stupid of an argument.
I mean, they're idiots, right?
Oh God. but the thing is that it's next time my listeners have some free time, look into the Armenian genocide, and the band System of a Down talks a lot about that.
I will too, actually, because I actually hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Like, we always talk about the Holocaust, which is, you know, greatly far worse, but we don't talk about the Armenian genocide, and then we don't talk about the Khmer Rouge that happened in Cambodia, where Pol Pot just started killing people that wore glasses because they were quote unquote intellectual, and he didn't like intellectuals in his country.
I've heard about the.
Yeah, he
Pol
killed
Pot
like 10 million of his own people.
When was that?
In the 60s. 50s and 60s, I want to say.
Yeah, and that's like more than 6 million. It's more than the Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
not.
Well, yeah, we're just bringing it up. Things happen. It's not just one group of people. I'm Jewish, so I think that I have a right to talk about this in this light. And that's the problem. Back to cancel culture. But you can't even bring up those points like getting shut down.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like maybe it would depend. It depends on like the person you're talking to. Maybe if the person was reasonable, like if like in the right light, you could probably bring that up. You know, if someone's just like some, I don't know, like wackadoodle, you maybe not. Like they're just like, I don't know.
Anyway, so we got another 7 or 8 minutes to fill. So, Mr. Evans,
Yes.
how many keyboards do you own?
Let's see.
Oh boy.
5.
5. And are you like a brand specific type of person, or do you kind of like, because like I know they all have different sound cards.
Still, yeah.
So you can get
sound cards.
like in like a.
Like patches and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah. I said it like as if it's a computer, like where they have different like frequencies that they can build, especially older keyboards.
Right.
Because like I'm a huge fan of the sound chip that they used in like the Yamaha keyboards from the 90s. And if you grew up playing a Sega Genesis, you know what sound I'm talking about. It's like has that very unique like early 90s like Yamaha sound.
I had a keyboard. That was actually the first type of keyboard I learned. Piano.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like one of those type of Yamaha.
Yeah, so you're probably familiar with
like
it.
Like a Casio or whatever.
It's not a Casio, but I mean, yeah,
Okay.
but you know, like just a solid black with like all the lines on them, keyboards. You know what I'm talking? But because the Sega Genesis used a Yamaha sound card that they used in a bunch of different like Yamaha keyboards, so you like it sounds very similar. And likewise, I don't know if it was Casio or a different brand, but they use like a Sony sound card, and that Sony sound card was using the Super Nintendo. So there's a lot of early 90s keyboards where like they either sound like they belong in a Sega Genesis or they sound like they belong on a Super Nintendo.
Oh, that's funny.
It's pretty interesting.
I haven't looked much into like actual like sound cards and stuff. Yeah, that's
like the physical like
right
interpretation or the creation of the sound.
Yeah, that's interesting though.
So are you a Casio man?
I'm a cash man. Yeah, like no, I'm still trying to figure out my brand. I have a Korg Chrome.
Ooh, Korg's nice.
It is really nice. I love that keyboard. It has lots of cool sounds. It lacks greatly on the. I don't have a purpose to use as much unless I'm doing a musical. But I did do a musical last year, and like I needed to use a little guitar patch just to fill a thing. But the guitar patch was just terrible.
Yeah.
But it has other great stuff. It has really good fantastic piano sounds, fantastic organ sounds, like really good like Rhodes stuff. All like the sort of lead synths and the pads and like the fast pads or the fast synths are like very very good.
Yeah.
It has a really cool. It has the sort of the sound, at least almost like the sound the Beatles use on Strawberry Fields Forever. That that song, like that the mellotron that like opens it up like the like that, like
you
it
can
sounds
really
like a lot
get
of
that.
flutes or whatever.
Yeah,
I have a patch on there that sounds like that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so Korg's quite good. I like a lot about it. And then I got a Roland Juno this past, or at least January of this year, and it's amazing. It's a little lower. It was like the price point. The Korg Chrome is a little higher. If you're like comparing them, the Korg Chrome is a little higher than like the Roland Juno in terms of like level of like tiers they're at. And,
yeah.
But like the Roland Juno was like amazing for its price point and has like amazing patches and stuff, and like it has some better stuff than the Chrome. So, but like yeah, and like the Roland's equivalent to the Chrome is I think like the Phantom X8 or something. So I mean.
Yeah.
Maybe if I win the lottery, I'll buy that and test them both out. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's between Korg and Roland right now. I've never been super crazy about Yamaha. Not like at least like not like the older ones are amazing, but like not like the newer sort of workstations that are trying to compete with like Korg and Roland. I don't know. I play on one sometimes, or I've played on them before, and I just didn't. I don't know. They weren't that remarkable, but yeah,
just when you're fancy there.
Yeah, but I don't really own one, so maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean that's but yeah, the Korg and the Roland are the two big keyboards I own, and then I have another Korg M50 which is broken right now.
Of course.
The software died or something. I don't know what's wrong with it. They still haven't gotten back to me. It's been like I gave it to them in like January.
See, that's what I like about playing bass. It's very mechanical. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, it's out of tune because like your fretboard's
Except I have an actual computer. Yeah.
Well, see, that just shows I'm a better musician. I don't need fancy technology to sound good.
Absolutely.
I say that, and it's like, dude, can we play this in 4/4 because I can't play anything else? Man, like the stereotypical bass player where it's like, hey man, we need to play those at 16th notes. It's like, I can't do that fast, dog. like I'm that guy. and it's okay. I'm okay with that.
I saw a funny like meme that was like everything's in 4/4 if you start trying to count it like a dumb nerd.
That's a good point. Make an excellent point there, sir.
It's like it's like in 7/8. You're just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Man, I really can't read music, and I was in band for like 8 years, and I never really learned how to read music properly.
Really?
Yeah, like I can't see what it looks like on a page, and then just like know. I know like what note to play, but I don't know how long to play them.
Oh.
I'm so bad at like reading tempo.
Oh, okay.
So like I have to hear the song first before I can really get into it.
But you can read the pitches.
Yeah, I can read the pitches. Like, yeah, that's gonna be like, but like I don't know how long I'm supposed to hit those notes.
Ah, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, like that's D, that's E flat, and then we go to A. You know, like I get that, but I never understood like the timing. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Also because like I didn't care.
Yeah, I cared in band for a while. I was a clarinet player. I played like I was first. Yeah, I know it's weird for a guy. I guess it was first year clarinet player up until like when I got into high school. I didn't care as much. Then I was like kind of like third or whatever. And then like when I got into my like junior or senior, like all these like freshman girls came up and they were like way better than me. And I just became like fifth chair.
You're just like, whatever. I don't care.
I
played tuba.
I was like just like piano at that time. Like,
Yeah.
I found my true love. Like
True love for piano. It's gonna be so much cheaper. No, it's not. Man, like see, that's what kind of sucks about being like a keyboard player is that there's not like a super iconic looking keyboard unless like you're into keyboards. It's like everybody knows what a Gibson SG looks like. It's like, you mean the AC/DC guitar? Like, yeah, it's like, hey, what was the keyboard that Geddy Lee played? Like, I don't fucking know. Like, unless you are into keyboards or just super into Rush, you're not gonna know that.
Yeah, there's like not really. Well, I think that goes along with like keyboard's not as much an icon of rock and roll music.
Yeah.
Like it's the guitar, you know, like that's the you know.
Unless you're Motorhead, it's the bass.
Yeah, but like even then, like that shape, like the shape
Yeah.
of a guitar or bass guitar is just so iconic, you know, like in itself. Whereas like I don't know, the shape of a piano is kind of lame.
It's like you're just an auto piano. Keyboard is just an automatic piano.
An automatic piano.
Yeah.
What is that? What do you mean?
Well, it's like it's all like electronic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just like
Yeah.
you can just like I don't need to really change it. I can just like, dude, like baritone is an automatic trombone.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Half the skill, but all the sound, so it's not as real.
Well, is that comparable to piano though? Because like the baritone is compensating for the slide, whereas like on a keyboard, like you're still to play it. You
still like mechanically do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's like you can do so much more with the keyboard.
Oh, yeah, well, right.
But they're so
'cause you
much
can-
cheaper.
and you can like transpose if you want to. And,
Yeah,
like,
it's like, oh, I can make a do-do-do-do-do-do, you know, like on a keyboard. So, but like as a piano, it's like it's still going to sound like a piano.
yeah, exactly. It's funny. Like I knew this guy in high school choir who was like just like a funny little story. Like he played piano, and like he would do this thing where it's like, you ever hear people like play on piano and like they just play everything in C major and they kind of hold on the pedals, where it's just kind of like this like random like sort of kind of pretty contemporary sounding stuff. It's like really easy to fake sounding like you're sounding good.
Yeah.
Sort of. Like he kind of would do stuff like that, and like I remember talking to him, and like I was like, oh cool. It was like and I asked him something, and he was like, oh no, I haven't gotten to the black keys yet. Like because he would only play on the white keys.
Yeah.
But like, and he was like, he showed me, he was like, he had this like, he was like, yeah, I have like a book of like compositions that I kind of like read out of, and I was like, oh cool, like can I see it? And like he was like, yeah, and like he put it on the stand, and he opened it, and it wasn't like music, it was like literally like a whole bunch of like random alien symbols and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Was he writing it himself?
Yeah, he had written like this entire book of just like strange symbols, and he was like, yeah, that's the music I'm playing. It was weird.
That man is not in the right mind.
I don't know.
Oh man. Last thing on keyboard, and pretty much the last thing I'm talking about.
Yes.
Do you have like what type of amp do you use?
I use a man, I feel bad for not knowing the model name. It's a somewhat not super new. It works quite well. It's basically a man. My friend was here. My black bass player friend was here.
Keith, yeah.
Yeah.
He's on his way.
Yeah, but like it's an electric drum kit amp.
Really?
Yes.
So I guess that would help getting like a wide range of sound for your keyboard.
So what happened is like I just used it with a band I used to play in, and like the guy like he lent it to me, and then I ended up buying it from him. But like I just found I was like, it worked very well as a keyboard amp, and I got it for quite cheap, and it works quite well, and it's very, very loud, and like it's just like for whatever reason like this electric drum kit amp like serves quite adequately as a keyboard amp. Like,
well,
so,
there you go.
I wish I could tell the exact model, but
Damn.
yeah.
I figured most people use like a bass, but I never even thought like using a drum amp.
I've tried a bass amp before. That actually didn't work as well. I felt like the electric drum kit amp is because like, there are actual keyboard amps you can use.
Yeah.
But like I don't have one of those. But yeah, I think like out of various types of amps I've used, like guitar, bass, and keyboard, or guitar, bass, and electric drum kit. Electric drum kit has been the best one for an amp that's not specifically for keyboards, basically.
Well, there you go. If you find a good deal on one, go out and buy one.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't tell you the name.
Sorry, I can't tell you. Anyway, do you have a closing statement?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be profound.
Okay. Well. Buy Franzia Crisp White.
Buy Franzia Crisp White. That's what we had tonight. It's pretty good. I think we're about done. We're coming to you live, pre-recorded at the Apartment of Inebriation. We still got some stickers in stock. I got some new sticker ideas coming out. I got some really good new stickers. Oh, last thing. If you want to write into the show, write into whiskydanradio@gmail.com. You could send us some feet pics. You could send us some cock pics. We'll give you a cock rating. And I got a few feet pics in. I've got a few of those in, but I'm looking for some wieners. So you send those in, whiskydanradio@gmail.com, and I will get back to you within like a week or two. So y'all have fun. Closing statement. This came as kind of interesting in light of everything that's been going on. We need to live together as brothers or perish as fools, for the threat of liberty of one man is a threat to us all.
Hear, hear. Amen.
Hear, hear.
Yes.